I have the feeling of I've never done this before, and they have the feeling of I've never seen this guy before.
Yeah.
So there's that kind of first time dating feeling, where you go on a date with someone for the first time, and there's a little bit of a nervousness between both of us. But halfway through the show last night, I realized like we were clicking pretty good.
Here we are in Jake Owen's dressing room, a little bit before you go on stage. How long have we got? Do you know?
I don't know. I never know. They just tell me like 5 minutes before they say it's about that time.
Somebody's going to interrupt, aren't they? They're just going to say, listen, you need to be on stage.
Yeah, I like that better, though. If I don't sit around all day worrying. I mean, Maddie over here would tell you, I don't. I kind of push it to the last minute. I'm not really a get ready early kind of guy.
I'm getting a very laid-back vibe. That's a good thing, isn't it?
I hope so.
Is this your first time in the UK?
Very first time.
I was sure I saw something on social media. What's taking you so long? Why?
I don't know. Actually, I enjoy the States a lot. I work a lot over there, so when I have time off, I guess I've spent time with my family. You know, I've been doing this for quite some time, and touring as an artist is definitely something that we love to do. But if you keep saying yes all the time, like they'll book you as much as you want to do it. So I've learned throughout the years that I really enjoy spending time with my family, which is why when I came here, I asked my dad to come with me, and we've just had a blast. I mean, it's been an incredible experience outside of the music, just being able to really soak in everywhere from Scotland here. We were here in London for a couple of days when we first got here, and we were exploring again today. So it's a lot. I enjoy spending time with my family. That's why, I guess, a long answer to your short question.
No, not at all. I mean, that's a beautiful thing as well, because, some people are super career focused, and you get the impression sometimes everything else gets pushed aside. You're telling me it's the other for you. And having your dad here, what does he think of the place?
Oh, he's been loving it. We've done a lot of fun things. We went when we were in Scotland. We played golf a few times, and just my dad beat cancer 8 years ago, and I think for me it put a lot of stuff into perspective because my dad has always been very career focused. He's really ingrained that in me, and I have been that way for a lot of years. But when my dad went through the cancer, I along with the rest of my family, I think we realized, like, with all due respect to all this doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And what matters is time that you spend with the people that you love. And there's no one I love more than my family, my mom, my dad. I have a twin brother. I have 2 little girls, and I don't want them ever growing up wondering why dad wasn't around a lot. And so I would have probably brought my little girl over if she didn't have school, but I told her, I promised her I'll bring her next time.
And I'm sure she'll see from your socials as well, some of the things you've been getting up to with your dad whilst you're here. And that'll probably kind of whet her appetite to come this way.
Yeah.
But that's genuinely so refreshing. I've literally just left a place around the corner. We're backstage with you, but watching some rugby with my 2 sons who knew I was here, you, and they came along as well to watch the game. So I'm very much family focused too. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's refreshing to hear. So clearly it's your first seat to see, but have you had any feedback from, say, some of the other artists or acts that you may have run into before? Have they told you what to expect here?
Oh, everybody's told me before I ever came here how great this was. And it is, speaking of the word refreshing, it's really refreshing here. I've noticed everyone here that's a fan is really kind, and they're really embracing. And you can tell the excitement, and quite frankly, when you come somewhere for the first time, you have that new, like, I have the feeling of I've never done this before, and they have the feeling of I've never seen this guy before.
Yeah.
So there's that kind of first time dating feeling, where you go on a date with someone for the first time, and there's a little bit of a nervousness between both of us. But halfway through the show last night, I realized, like, we were clicking pretty good. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
It almost adds another edge to a degree because, you've no clue how it's going to go, right?
I knew how it was going to go.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I meant from our audience's point of view.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're in front of a brand new crowd, right?
Yeah, but what everything people told me is that they would know my songs. And
Oh,
so
of
I
course.
just kind of was like, all right, I hope they know these. And I could tell throughout the show that they really did. They were singing. I mean, just kind of like the States. Like I would say something and then I'd hold the microphone out and they would know the words.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was really cool. That was fulfilling.
And the crowds here, I mean, literally, because it's so far away from the States. So when we get country acts over, it's a big deal because you've had to come a long way to be here. So the crowd appreciate that, and they know this is going to be a big night for them too. So that's why they're really on it straight away.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed myself so far.
But I've also seen on your socials too, you do some charity stuff every now and again, don't you? And show up at these sort of things too.
I do. I play a lot of charity events. I host my own foundation event every year, which is really important to me. So, but yeah, golf is a big part of my life.
Nice one. So tonight, do you have a whole set list, or are you going to just play it by ear, or does it change every gig, or how does it work?
Well, we have a set list that we have as like a so-called foundation or framework as to what we're going to do tonight, but I always change it up. Like last night, I played a few different things that was not on my set list. I just enjoy reading the crowd, and depending on how the crowd is or how it feels in that moment is how I may change the set list around a little bit. But I'm not a person that could come over here and play, Scotland, England and Ireland and play the same show 3 times in a row. Like, there's a lot of artists that do that. I don't know why I stopped doing that. But seriously, stop. I think it's just really sad to me how people can just go through the motions. So I enjoy a little bit of spontaneity. I think that's what live music is all about, and that's what I'll probably do tonight.
Yeah, well, I'm getting that vibe from you. So it's funny, just being in the audience sometimes, you get that impression as an audience member that the act is going through, hey, we love you, where are we? London. Hey, we love you, London. Hey, we love you, Texas. That kind of way, whereas you clearly are going to do something different.
Yeah, I think people were, if they want to just listen to my music, they could stay at the house and listen to it on an album. But when they come out and see you, I think this is my opportunity, and I look at, hopefully other artists look at this the same way, that not only is this my opportunity to win people over, but there's a lot of really talented artists here, and one of us has to go home the winner. And so I want to make sure that, obviously we're all here to do a good job for all these fans, but I want to make sure that I go out there and people remember you for what you did and how you entertained them. And so I leave it all out there. I give them everything I've got.
How different is it if you're playing a festival like this where there's stacks of acts on the bill, or whether it's just a Jake Owen gig? Do you feel any difference at all or not?
Yeah, I love gigs like this. Like I said, I love that there's other people playing. I'm super supportive of everybody. I love all these people. A lot of my friends are out here, but it's just like anything. If I was a professional golfer and my friends are playing in the same tournament, I'm still going to try to beat them.
Of course.
That's what you're here to do.
You want to win.
Yeah, and if you're not, then what are you doing this for? Just dialing it in. That's not who I am. So I'm going to go out there tonight and try to I'm not headlining tonight. My friend Brad Paisley is, but I'm going to try to make them believe I'm the headliner tonight. And I think that is what even Brad Paisley deserves for the people underneath him to raise the crowd up to a level where they're so excited from that performance that they're like, what are you gonna do, Brad? You know what I mean? And obviously Brad is incredible and has been incredible for many years. So I have to elevate what I do in order to try to reach his level. So
absolutely. Well, I'm so looking forward, and I know we don't want to keep you too long, but I have one other question to ask you. One of our big songs on the station is Barefoot Blue Jean Night. Would you mind telling the audience just the story behind that?
I had never had a number one song for 7 years of my career. And everybody kept telling me that, you just have to have that one song, Jake, and everything will change. And I kind of got tired of hearing that. And so long story short, I was going through I wrote every song that I'd ever released up to that point for the first 7 years of my career, because I think a lot of us artists believe that in order to validate yourself as a great singer-songwriter, that you need to write all your own music. But people that I've really admired throughout my career, I mean, if you think about it, Johnny Cash, he did not write The Ring of Fire, you know, and he also did not shoot a man in Reno. And no one cares.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? All they want is a good song. And so I was digging through my email one night as I was finishing my album that I did not have a name for yet. I had already recorded probably like 13 or 14 songs. It was the Barefoot Blue Jean Night album. And I remember going through my email, and a friend of mine had sent me an email that said, "Hey, Jake," she had sent me this email 6 months prior. And I just, like I usually do, I skip over emails. I didn't see it. And thankfully, something that night in my mind told me to go through my email in my kitchen. And I saw her email, and it said, "Hey, I really think you should check this song out. It sounds like a big hit song." So I hit play, and the first second I heard those guitars, and I was like, okay, this feels pretty good. And then the whole idea of Barefoot Blue Jean Night, I grew up in Florida. I grew up on the beach, like literally on the beach. I had previously, most of my songs that I'd written were predominantly really country. And it's country music, right? So I think sometimes I was a little deterred from being too coastal and singing about the beach. But the moment that I kind of released a song, oddly enough, that I didn't write, that was kind of more of my truth through someone else's lens, really connected. And it was my first #1 song. And that album, I had 4 straight #1 songs, bang, 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 and it kind of took me off to the races. And I say that to encourage other artists out there. Something that I found really interesting. Sorry to be too long here with my answer.
Not at all.
I was watching the Willie Nelson documentary. Willie Nelson's biggest album he ever released was Stardust, and Stardust was an album of old standards that he recorded that he just loved, and you can hear his passion in it. And what I find interesting about that is that I think Willie Nelson will always be revered as probably one of the greatest songwriters to ever live. And his biggest album is an album full of songs he did not write.
And there's the irony, right?
So I started thinking about that, and I'm like, I realized that the best song wins. The song that represents you the best and people connect to is what wins, and what makes you a great artist. So that's what I try to do, and that's where Barefoot Blue Jean Night came from. And each time I approach new music, I always try to approach it with the idea that the best song win.
Well, listen, it's worked for you so far, right? And they're ready for you tonight out there very, very soon. So we need to get out of your dressing room. Listen, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, thanks
Jake.
a lot. Really
Thank
good
you.
to see you, man.
Thank
Thank you.